Should I build it or should I just scrap it? Well, guess what? I'm turning this one street-driven Nissan R34 Skyline into a winning time attack weapon. There's parts everywhere, there's money to spend, there's so much to do, but whatever it takes, I will make it happen. Welcome to Project Precision. First off the bat in today's episode is the walk around of the car, its status and where it's at, and then I will run through my entire build plan with you. So let's just jump straight in. All right, so now we're gonna do a quick tour around the car, where it's at, what's going on, and a very, brief look into the future as to what I'll be doing. On the engine side of things, the engine's been built, 2530, cams, headwork, all the bolt-ons, all that kind of stuff. Kind of limited to the power I made, because when the people who built this engine did it, they didn't do everything that I asked, so the head studs aren't big enough. But I'm running 574 kilowatts at 27 pound, but I need to redo the intercooler piping, put a better intercooler on, R35 GDR coil packs, and basically just try and squeeze a bit more power out. I'd like to get to the 800 horsepower mark if I can. Oh, and there's nitrous here that needs to be tuned in and all that kind of stuff. But as you can see, last year and part of this year, I started the paint process, but primer is as far as I got because I was waiting on panels and timeline just got thrown out the window. But the advantage of that is now I've been given by one of my sponsors, Aerodynamics. Apart from fiberglass and carbon fiber panels, they've given me the over fenders for the GDRs. So basically I'll be cutting this out, putting the GDR over fenders on, and they'll be blended in so you won't be able to tell that they're there. Yes, I'm doing it. Yes, I know it's a big job. And will I be welding? No, my fabricator will be, because I cannot weld to save my life. Moving to the back. So in here we've got the nitrous bottle, the electric power steering pump, which is out of a Holden Astra, dry sump, a Tesla pump, and I need to put a larger catch can in. The biggest issue I'm having is reducing weight. As you can see, there's not much on the car. Carbon fiber and fiberglass panels, some cybernetics, which will help. Gonna run Perspex windows, but I just need to, get that Jenny Craig diet going and just shred some more weight. It's a tough one, because I'm up against some really powerful and well-developed cars, so I need every chance I can get. The other thing too though, is these guys who have all these high developed cars have race car drivers driving, or I'll be driving my own car. So the other issue and thing I need to tackle during this series, which you'll watch, is learning to fucking drive. So that will obviously involve lots of track days, analytics, testing, and hopefully get some coaching by some actual professional race car drivers. Anyway, moving to the side. So same with the interior. It's been gutted. Again, to remove weight. There's nothing going on. It's just completely empty. Empty. But again, trying to work out what can I get rid of. One thing I'm not gonna do is go full race dash spec. Of course, I still want this car to have some sort of street value to it. But again, I wanna be able to take this thing to a track and on a street. Like these oil lines are gonna have to get moved. It's the interior, well, there's really not much else to rip out. It'll just be a lighter seat with lightweight rails, all that kind of stuff. Coming down here. So ages ago, back in 2022, I did the R35 GDR upgrade, but these, it's gonna sound bad, probably the last thing I'll do. Of course, they have been upgraded, but there is better options. Probably the last time to build is maybe, shall the budget allow it, I'll do carbon ceramic brakes, but the aero will come priority over the carbon ceramics as well. Need aero, and these aren't too bad, but I don't know, if you want some R35 GDR brakes, keep your eye out. But that's essentially it. So now I'll run through what will be getting done to the Skyline. I've spent over 30 hours doing research and planning, but as we know, with big projects like this, they are likely to change because stuff just comes up. Project Precision, the ultimate Skyline time attack build. That is exactly what we're doing. That's what's happening. My biggest thing behind this, build series, everything, is I want to prove to you guys that you can build a race car in your garage. You don't need these fancy workshops that want to charge you 10 grand or rip you off just to go there. You can do it with all the assets and learning materials you have at your hands, which is your phone, YouTube, ChatGPT, and obviously going and just speaking to professionals. Go to workshops. Hey, I want to do this. What do you think? Your options are honestly limitless. Engine. Okay, the engine's built. It's an RB2530 setup. Basically everything that can be done has been done, with the exception of billet blocks and all that kind of piss. Everything's electric with the exception of the alternator and the dry sump. So what will be getting done to the engine side of things? Well, the exhaust is mild still, and it's a full system. So that will be getting dumped in the bin. And it'll be a side exit exhaust, full titanium, probably 4-inch maybe 3.5. So there'll be a lot of weight reduction in that. Why side exit? Well, why not? But also because of the rear diffuser, just makes things easier. But in the hand of that, a bit more fabrication work. There's a lot of fab work in this build. I'll touch on that later. Following that is intercooler piping and the intercooler. So we're upgrading to a Plasman Race Series intercooler and titanium intercooler piping, upgrading to a PWR radiator and thermo setup. I've got a Koyo Rad. It's all right. We can do better. The build can do better. So that's what we've gone with as well. But with the radiator and the intercooler, they will be angled for benefits for airflow. And then with that, there will be an air dam. Ignition. It's got Spitfire coil packs, but they're honestly almost 10 years old. If not, probably that old.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
I have to relocate the oil filter because of the intercooler piping. Fuel cell. I'll be getting the aftermarket industries fuel cell. A lot of the competition winning cars use them. Again, some Walbro pumps as well. New fuel pressure regulator, and all the factory lines will be getting thrown in the bin, and it'll be all AN lines all the way through. I have to tune in the NOS and retune the car when all of this is done. Drivetrain, the rear subframe is coming out. Of course, the fuel tank needs to come out. So basically everything in the rear is coming out. There'll be nothing in the rear end. This is for the fuel cell, so I can do the subframe and, well, fabrication work, which again, like I said, touch on later. The all-wheel drive doesn't work properly. When I did the all-wheel drive conversion in this, what I was told was the transfer case was all seized. However, driving it on the road a bit, sometimes the all-wheel drive works, sometimes it doesn't. Diffs, front diff going in the bin. Rear diff can probably get away with keeping it, but I might replace it. The intention is to replace both front and rear diffs with 1.5 way LSDs. Now the ratios, I'm not sure. I don't know much about gear ratios, to be honest. Actually, I know fuck all. So I'm gonna do some research into that and speak to some professionals. Tail shaft, so it'll be carbon fiber tail shaft, again, just to reduce weight, reduce loss through the drivetrain. If you have knowledge that you like, or you think I missed something, please punch it in the comments. I'm all for learning. Of course, remember, like, I'm building this to win. Suspension, it's all factory bushings and arms, with the exception of the rear traction arms and upper control arms. This is gonna get sold. There's GK Tech ones, but it's cheaper to buy an entire GK Tech rear suspension package. We'll have rear solid subframe bushes, front and rear sway bars and links. This is where it gets complicated. It's a GDT rear setup technically, and a GTR front because it's been converted to all-wheel drive. So I think I'm just gonna get R34 GTR sway bars. They should technically fit, but when it comes to that time, I'll do some checking. Front strut brace, yeah, it is what it is. Wheel alignment, corner balance, that's to be expected. Post doing everything else like the MCA track spec coilovers and the front lower control arms. Now there's probably more things I can do. Again, I need to do more research into it, but off the bat, this is what you do. Like, basically just fuck off all your stock stuff and just put aftermarket stuff on. And you may lose a little bit of weight. Weight reduction is a big thing. Again, touch on that later. Wheels and tires, very simple. Basically going for the same setup that I've got. So currently I've got raised T37 SL Sagas. When I bought my set, I want the lightest wheel. Now, because I'm going GTR rear quarters, it'll be 18, but by 10.5, maybe 11. I want to try and push 295 tires, but I don't want them to be too big for the wheel or too small. Tires, it's the Yokohama Advan A050s. They're the tire you have to have or can only have a time attack. If you have a soft compound or a medium compound, again, which one works best, I'll test when I start doing track days, getting used to the car, learning to drive, and doing data analytics. Brakes, okay, so I've got the R35 GTR brake setup. I probably could have spent my money better when I did it, but again, back then, I didn't have the intention to build a time attack car. I was just like, I want some brakes, but I'm going to do the GK Tech ABS Delete kit. Now, you're probably thinking, why are you getting rid of ABS? Some people keep them. I've seen a lot of time attack cars, especially the winning ones, have ABS, others don't. So again, I need to research into it probably before I do this. But regardless, they usually take the factory setup, dump it in their bin, and they have an in-cabin setup. So I don't know, and honestly, brakes are probably a little bit beyond me. So this is where probably I get a professional in to actually help me with it or do it for me. But again, with this build, I want to do as much as I can. When you do the R35 GTR brake upgrade, you have to essentially get rid of your backing plates. So I'm going to get Peter, my fabricator, to make up some custom ducted rear backing plates for the front and the rear. Just, you know, brake ducting, cool your brakes, awesome. Track pads and fluid, obviously, so I'm gonna get track pads, the ones that actually don't work well until they're hot. So obviously I'm gonna use them on the street. Upgraded master cylinder because the current one is too small and does not work very well. You jump on the brakes 50 k's an hour and the rears lock up and like to kick out. And a pedal box, maybe. It's, again, I need to look into it. I've heard they're really good when it comes to setting up your brakes. I don't know much about it, so I have to research into it. Safety, short, sweet, to the point. FIA spec 6-point bolt-in roll cage. 1 kilo hand fire extinguisher is the minimum requirement. They do highly recommend you have an entire system in the car, but again, more weight, more money, so I'm probably not going to do that, to be quite honest. 6-point sparker harness, I already have them. They technically have expired, but depending on the event you're in, the expiration date has like an additional couple of years added onto it, so it should be sweet. Worst case, buy some more. And then I'll be buying a new seat, Sparko Circuit 1 QRT seat and lightweight rails. Before we jump on to the next part of the episode, I want to take a moment to thank Supercheap Auto, who are helping me with this time attack build. They also help me with a lot of other automotive stuff that I do, and to further assist me, I guess you can say, they've given me this brand new Tool Pro Neon 42-inch 12-drawer tool chest. That is 6 drawers on the top, 6 drawers on the bottom, and a cupboard bit down the bottom as well. And as we know, tools are important, but having somewhere to store them is more important because it keeps them locked up and safe, stops them from getting lost, and well, it just makes them last a lot longer. So for everything automotive, hop down to Supercheap or online and get yourself sorted. Now, fun stuff, Aerodynamics. Now this car has no aero right now. It has no aero. I may or may not have wound it off the clock or as fast as it goes, and I can tell you it's very floaty. Not what you want for a time attack car. So simple, GT style mirrors, air dam for the radiator and the intercooler. The air dam is important. There's a lot of modifications will be happening to the bonnet as well. Basically, it's gonna be getting cut up. Following the air dam, louvers in the bonnet and in the front guards as well to help air get out of the engine bay and out of the wheel wells. And the front guards will be modified. They'll be cut off the bottom and basically helped channeled out, again, to help get the air out. Then we have a chassis mount wing. I've been told by Sydney Composites, they're the best when it comes to this kind of stuff. They said if you have a front splitter and a boot mounted wing, you're gonna get oversteer and end up in a wall. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to do that. So chassis mount wing, I'm going to get the Voltex wing I have and do that. No, it's probably not ideal, but I've got to work with what I got. Custom side skirts, again, to help get the air out. Modify the front bar and the rear bar. Now the front bar for basically cover off any holes I don't need and try and make it a bit more aerodynamic. Obviously it has to be efficient and work. Carbon fiber, rear diffuser, front splitter and flat bottom. Now I say carbon fiber, that's what I really want to do. Worst case, it'll be aluminium, I have to do it myself. No, it won't be as efficient, but again, some aero is better than none. Paint and panel. This is the part I'm not looking forward to at all. I primed it, yes, did I enjoy it? No, not really. So GTR over fenders, fit them up, and they'll be blended in with the car so you cannot tell. And then on the inside, it'll be tubbed. Again, I'll touch more on that with the fabrication side of things. Bonnet pins, boot pins, you have to. It'll be glass windscreen. I can go perspex, but I'd rather just have glass. And it'll be perspex windows all around. I'm still trying to find someone in Australia or Sydney who makes them. If you know anyone, please drop in the comments or DM me on Instagram. Now, weight is important. So all the OEM panels, not in the bin, I'm keeping those. But it'll be fiberglass front guards, front bumper, bonnet, side skirts, rear bar, boot, carbon fiber doors. I've got a paint side in the boot area when all the fabrication work is done. I have to cut slots in the fiberglass boot as well for the chassis mount wing. Painting will be the last thing I do. Like the car's done, everything's sweet. Let's paint it, wrap it, sponsors, all that kind of good stuff. Fabrication. This is the big one. Post-fab, we're going to talk about weight and weight goals. That's an interesting one. Now, we'll be cutting out the wheel well where your spare tire goes. Be trimming off the beaver panel as well, all the way up to the chassis rails. That is so we can get the diffuser as high as we can. And the wheel well, that is to fit the fuel cell. And the reason why we're separating the rear partial shelf is to create a firewall. We'll have to modify the floor for the exhaust as well. We'll try and keep it as high as we can to allow for the side skirts and the flat bottom, as well as filling in holes in the firewall where things like heater cores and aircon lines have been removed. Following that, I'm gonna be airboxing in the intake. Yeah, like, you know, pop filter looks cool, but sucking in hot air is not really ideal, especially from a performance perspective. The hardest thing with fabrication work, right, is to me, modifying an engine, that's nothing. Because if you really want to revert it back, you can, it's not that hard. But with fab work, like once you start chucking that grinder in, that's it. Weight. How much weight do I want to lose? How much weight can I lose?
A fat fucking 10.
Factory weight of a GTT R34 Skyline is 1,470 kilos, which is what this is. But it has been converted to all-wheel drive, basically an R34 GTR. It comes to the weight side, it's basically the same, right? So we have 1,560 kilos. But this car has been stripped, and when I stripped out the interior, I actually weighed every single thing I pulled out. I can't remember the specifics, but I know it was in the 60 kilo mark. And we'll move to the engine modification side of things. We also have the fact that a lot has been pulled out and dumped in the bin. So what realistic number can we look at? So I know for a fact it was in the 60 kilo mark, minus the stuff you pulled out. So I would say that my Skyline, this is my pure guesstimate, is, look, minus 60 kilos, I'd say probably been, I'd say minus 70 kilos. So we're looking at 1,490 kilos. Now, what's my target weight? Well, my target weight will be 1,250 kilos, which means I have to lose 240 kilos. Replacing panels with lighter ones, yes, it does a bit. You can probably lose maybe 30, 40 kilos through that, but then you've got to allocate things that you're putting in. You know, you're adding bigger radiators, you're adding brackets for it, you know, so when we do that, it'll be, you know, aluminium where we can, or titanium, try to avoid mild steel, but some things you just have to use mild steel. But then the other thing too is the roll cage, right? The roll cage weighs 75 kilos. So you might as well just add this back up to that, which means now I have to lose 310 kilos. But with the regulations, right, from what I remember reading correctly, is you can have 15% less from the lightest variant of that car. For example, you have the Mitsubishi Evolution 10, right? But the lightest variant of that vehicle isn't the Evo, it's the Mitsubishi Lancer. So in this Skyline, in this situation, it's the Skyline GT, which weighs 1,340 kilos. Now, minusing that 15% rule, the minimum weight the car can be 1,139 kg kilograms. Now, that's crazy. To actually get to that, I have to lose 351 kilos. This is the big one. The budget. Now, let's be realistic. Cars are like kids. They're as expensive or cheap as you make them. You know, your car doesn't need to get modified. Your baby doesn't need that Louis Vuitton bag. Now, budget. Question, what is it gonna be? That's a really weird looking question mark, isn't it? Well, I reckon this is the figure I'm thinking. Probably thinking, Jonesy, that's so gay. No, seriously, whatever it takes. However, keeping that in mind, you know, we're all adults here. I have a wife, I've got to look after her, got to pay, you know, bills, all that kind of stuff. And obviously it's up to me to earn money, to make money, to do that, and also to do this, as this is important as well with what I do in my life. But in saying that, whatever it takes, I'm playing to win, I'm building to win, and that's that. I hope this has been somewhat informative. There's a lot to do, a lot of man hours, a lot of money to be spent, and I know that things will change, things will come up, things won't fit. It's just the nature of building cars. It's been a bit long, but strap in, guys. This is it. It's happening. Like, there's no bullshit. This is happening. I'm going to all time taking. This car's getting done. Whatever it takes. Welcome to Project Precision. I'll see you in episode 2.
Next time on Project Precision, things heat up as the fabrication work begins on the Skyline.
I'm nervous. I'm a bit worried this might be the wrong decision.